everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Outside Insider podcast here on Philly Sports Network with myself, Liam Jenkins, where you know the score by now. All things Eagles related from the last 7 days, hidden inside a trick-or-treat gift bag. Now, have you ever received a trick while trick-or-treating? Because I have, and I was about 7 years old, and I promise you, without even realising whose house it was, I knocked on the door of my school bully, who was stood there with a water gun and drenched me. And my mum was outside being like, "Oh, you know him, he's one of your mates." And I was like, "Yeah, I bloody love him, he's great." So that was good. But talking of trick-or-treating, there was a very spooky trick-or-treat session for Howie Roseman this week, and he got a lot of attention at his door. There were players knocking all over the place, trying to get his attention. There was a kid named Darius, there was another one named Jamal, and a third one named Robbie. But Howie just turned up the television, put his fingers in his ears, and went, la 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 la. So, came away. Actually, there was one kid that got through. His name was Jannard, and they love him now. And he is now going around every night playing Call of Duty with Howie Roseman, the babysitter. So, all's well that ends well. We're going to get into that a little bit later on, and the arrival of Avery and what that means for this Eagles defense. If you're new around here, guys, if you want to hit that subscribe button, that would be amazing. We're currently on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio. If I said YouTube, maybe. Podbox, Podcube, Pod Triangle, Pod, basically everywhere. Just search the Outside Insider. If you could leave a 5-star rating, that would be absolutely fantastic. Unlike Tony from England, who left a review on the Outside Insider iTunes page saying, "Terrible, I tried it, it was horrible." So that also sums up my love life, Tony. You're welcome. But we're going to start this show off actually with something that's not trade deadline related, that's not something that has been widely covered until this point. I assume between now and Sunday it probably will, and especially during the broadcast and stuff like that. But the Eagles are playing the Chicago Bears this week. They're at home, wearing their black jerseys for some reason or another. And there is a tone here, and I wrote an article on this recently, and it's something that I genuinely cannot wait to see, because it's a Jordan Howard revenge game. And I think this could well be one of the biggest games of his career for a million different reasons. But this isn't like any former Eagle playing against the Eagles. It's not like a former player for a team returning and it being a very ceremonious, like, "Oh, I miss you guys. Oh, you, come here." It's not like that, I don't think, for Jordan. There's going to be some area of sentimental energy, I think, for sure, for lack of a better term. But it's not like when Torrey Smith went to the Panthers as a free agent and comes back and plays the Eagles having won a Super Bowl. It's not like that now. It really is the equivalent of being in a relationship, everything being perfect, and then out of nowhere just being cast aside, the girl or the guy being like, "No, do you know what? Not working out, want different things, whatever, moving on." And you're left kind of working out, well, okay, what the hell do I do now? Like, why? I don't get it, what went on? And then you see them in 6 months' time, and you're doing so much better, and they're doing so much worse. We've all been there, probably, on one end of the stick, I'm sure. And it's a very bizarre spot to be in. Because I think the Bears genuinely miss Jordan Howard. I mean, all you've got to do is look at the fact that in 2017, Tariq Cohen had 454 yards from scrimmage. Jordan Howard had 621. In 2018, Tariq Cohen had 622 yards from scrimmage. Howard had 479. This year, Tariq Cohen is just not the same running back at all. Just not the same running back. And he's not getting the help. There is a complete different dynamic to this Bears offense. He's gone from being this all encompassing playmaker, someone who benefited from Jordan Howard, who could be that dual threat back in escaping passing games, because Howard demanded 8-man boxes and demanded that kind of attention. And now Cohen, with what is basically a budget Jordan Howard, just isn't performing anywhere near as well, isn't anywhere near as efficient. Whereas Jordan Howard, well, he's just set his highest yards per carry since 2017 with 4.3. He's already looking for a career high in touchdowns. He's having a great year in Philadelphia. And more than anything, he's the guy again. In Chicago, over the course of 3 years, Howard was just slowly bumped down and phased out. The Bears hired Matt Nagy, who comes in, implements a new offense where the offensive linemen basically have to do handstands to facilitate anything they run. And the Bears started to favour Tariq Cohen because he could do it all. He could get outside, he could catch passes. And that 2017 offseason, Jordan Howard worked so hard on becoming more versatile and wanting to catch the ball and getting involved in the passing game. And we're now seeing that in Philadelphia, that he is becoming a receiving threat, and we're seeing it on a couple of screen passes. What's stunning, though, is that through 7 games, Tarik Cohen has 24 attempts. That's it. He's averaging 2.3 yards per carry. In 2018 and 2017, that number was 4.5 and 4.3. In 2018, he averaged 10 yards per reception, that number down to 5.8. Now, I'm not saying that lack of success is suddenly all down to the loss of Jordan Howard, but it's not like they've got that same production from their rookie running back. And if I was the Chicago Bears front office, I mean, I understand. I get why they wanted to part ways with Jordan Howard. It makes sense to me because he's in his final year of contract, and there are a couple of backs, Devin Singletary, David Montgomery, that I thought were at least in that same build of Howard, could bring the same skill set to the table. So why not extend that cheap contract window for another 5 years, cash in while you can, and keep the ball rolling? Like, it makes sense. But for Jordan Howard, he went from being the guy, being the 3rd most productive running back in the league since his arrival, to just being phased out, and Tarik Cohen becoming the guy, getting 99 carries in 2018, along with 71 receptions. And Jordan Howard's role just slowly diminished. He was asked to be doing more and more things that he wasn't really comfortable with. And then he gets cast out completely into Philadelphia, where he is now the guy. And he has been a key point in 2 dominant victories. A 96-yard game recently on Sunday against the Buffalo Bills. And of course, a 3-touchdown outing, a hat-trick hero performance against the Green Bay Packers. And there has to be an element for this Bears rushing offense to be looking and going, did we make a whiff there? Did we really need to? Could we not have gone one more year? Could we not have kept him? Is the pick worth it? Have we shot too soon? Have we maybe, I guess, not been able to see the forest for the trees? We've gone out with a pan and into the fire. It genuinely is. Like, if you come out of that relationship and you think, yeah, this is what's best, I'm not happy now, I've got to do me and move on, or whatever it may be. And then in 6 months' time, you look back and they're doing so much better, and you're like, that's going to sting. Maybe you bump into them in public and they're dripping in sauce, they got that Supreme on, they got that Gucci belt, and you're like, what have I done? Like, I'm in the same situation, nothing's changed, and they're soaring. Like, I was holding them down, they're now doing better. It's interesting. It's an interesting dynamic, and I really think that this Bears defense, as good as that front four is, as intense as that matchup in the trenches is going to be, we could see a Jordan Howard breakout, and I would love to see it. It's always, to see someone cast aside, come back, and just shove it down their face, saying, like, this is what you're missing. This is what you're losing out on. You turn this down to get a rookie running back who's been alright. And yet here I am, still being me, at age 24, former 6th round pick, overlooked for days. No one really gave me a chance, despite the fact I've had over 3,000 rushing yards in my career, despite the fact I've been the 3rd most productive running back in the league since my arrival. No one cares. This is the day I'm going to make them. I'm going to go out there, I'm going to make a damn impact, and I'm going to shove it down their throats so they regret it every waking moment that they're on a football field. That Matt Nagy can look across the field and see Jordan Howard sprinting off to the races. I say sprinting, he doesn't really have top-end speed. It's more of a, I guess, a subtle kind of jog along. But through the trenches, we all know Howard has been unbelievable. Like, for me, he has been one of the best players on offense all season long. And I know it's easy to say, oh yeah, well, Liam, he's gonna be. Look at his numbers. Like, it's not about the numbers. Miles Sanders took 8 games to start showing a realm of patience anywhere near the same that we're seeing from Miles Sanders. From Jordan Howard, I should say. He took 8 games to start showing that vision. When Jordan Howard runs the ball, the game is in slow motion. It's genuinely incredible to watch. Like, the way he's able to process blocks and where holes are going to be and anticipate where he needs to go and to make that cut. He's not afraid to, put his foot in the ground and turn upfield. It's stunning. And I think the Bears, they're going to lie awake at night, and they're going to think of that, and they're going to try drunk calling their ex, and they're going to go through phases of listening to Marvin's Room and wondering, what the hell have we done? Because our rushing offense has just plummeted. Howard is soaring. The Bears are absolutely plummeting. It's unbelievable. Like, you can't put it any other way. Tariq Cohen has not been the same back without Jordan Howard. The rushing offense has not been the same. And now, because of that, Mitch Trubisky is having to do more, which is brilliant because he sucks. So it's a win-win. And I think that's going to be such an X factor into this week. The Eagles don't have a reason to fear the Bears on offense, but we're going to get to that a little bit later, guys. Again, if you're new around here, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to tune in. It'd be amazing if you could subscribe. We're going to have the full podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube up a little bit later,